Our next speaker is Professor Qin Dahe from China, who yesterday received the Volvo Environment Prize here in Stockholm. And he's a glaciologist and a climate scientist, and his research on the glaciers and ice sheets, who Will just told you was an important feature of the climate system, has taken him to many cold places, not just Sweden, but to the Antarctic, the Arctic, and the Tibetan plateau on many expeditions. And he has played a leading role in the work of the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, the IPCC, heading Work Group 1, which recently released the 5th assessment report here in Stockholm. Welcome.
Thank you to give me this opportunity to make the speech or join the seminar to introduce some role of the cryosphere in the climate system, like Wilson said. And also, I was very excited to receive the World Environment Prize yesterday. It kept me excited until now. So, the glacier and the poles in the Earth system, I think just we mentioned the climate change, lots of things. The cryosphere play a key role for the global change. So, as you know, in this occasion, in its place, 2 months ago, we have the presentation to remember the Professor Bolin. His slides made by Thomas and myself and all the writing team, 259 authors from 39 countries. And this is the very brief process to finish our report. And the cryosphere is very important. It's getting more important in the IPCC report, particularly in the Working Group 1 from 4th AR4. So just to mention the 5 components for the climate system. One is the atmosphere, hydrosphere, cryosphere, land surface, and biosphere, and the sustainable development. And here I will focus on the cryosphere. But we here just give a point to talking about the own internal dynamics influence the climate change, and also by the extra forcing. This question a lot from the public. I'm talking 2 things in the very short time. One is climate system and observed changes of cryosphere, and then about the climate sustainable development and the cryosphere. If we have enough time, I will talk a little bit more a short story for adventure. So, very brief conclusion about the observed change in the climate system from AR5. So, the atmosphere and the ocean have warmed, everybody know, and the amount of the snow and ice have diminished. This is the part of the sea ice, and the sea level rise also concerned with the cryosphere. And the concentration, the major reason is the man-made greenhouse gases to increase the temperature to make the global warming. And this map showed globally global warming by the global scale. So in the AR4, we have the 100 years temperature increase 0.74 plus the uncertainties. But this figure shows the last 112 years, the temperature increased 0.89 degrees centigrade from the AR5, Working Group 1. Then turn to the cryosphere. And we mentioned the ice sheet, glaciers, snow cover, sea ice, and so on. And the glacier have continued to shrink almost worldwide. And over the last 2 decades, the Greenland and the Antarctic ice sheets have been lost a lot of masses, which are a little bit different from AR4 by the data. We have more data. And the sea ice in Arctic and the Northern Hemisphere spring snow cover have continued to decrease in the extent. This figure shows the distribution of the glaciers, which is the yellow color, and the area of the covered dynamic sub-divided into the 19 regions. This one is big, this one is small. And the crossfire in the high Asian is this area. I will give you a more detail introduce. And for the polar regions, this is the Greenland ice sheet and the Antarctic ice sheet, the subglacier and the seabed topography. We have this one. And for the crossfire change in the polar regions, this one is Greenland, this one is, I'm sorry. So mass loss and sea level rising, and this is the mass loss. You see that it's getting fast. And this one shows the ice loss and the sea level rising. And for the glaciers, mountain glaciers, the red color show the mass loss, and this one a little bit stable or increase. And two-pair stage is very important. One is from 1971 to 2009, which cost almost 40 years. The negative mass balance is 226 gigaton per year. And during this period, for the last second half of this period, the acceleration of the ice loss increased to 275 gigaton per year. And for the global cumulative these graphs and the annual is lower graphs, glacier mass change from this side and this side. You can see this one is the speed is increased. And this one for the decadal average of daily sea ice extent in the Arctic regions. Particularly for this one, you see from 1979 to 1988, the red color, and 2009 to 2012, this one is the sea ice content extent decrease very much. And this is the snow cover in the northern hemisphere from the AR5. We had the snow cover extent decreased 1.6%. This is the uncertainties per decade from spring over the last almost 40, 50 years. You see, this one is decreased. And the shrink of the late ice age back to the mountain glacier. This is the long-term monitoring in Tianshan Station in China. And this glacier, we have the measurements since 1962. You can see in 1962, this shape, and 10 years after, and until to 1994, this glacier separated. And we have the investigation of the glacier for inventory, and we found in the before 1988 about the number of the glacier half decrease, but after the 1980s, almost 80% of the number of glacier in China is decreased. And another compound is the snow cover. This is the northwest, is the northeast, is the Tibetan plateau. By the color, you see this white color is less than 1 centimeter, and this is the deeper. And the distribution extend large in the Tibetan plateau, but the deepest snow cover in the northeast part of China. And my colleague, the group modeling people to make the projection of the future for the glacier #1 in the upstream of Urumqi River, Tianshan Mountain. And he said this is the east This is the east branch of the glacier. You remember it separated in 1994, and this is 2006, and they make the projection this middle of the century, end of the century until to 21 and 80 year. The glaciers very small. I think basically in the mid-lower latitude of northern hemisphere, particularly in China, and the small glacier will be disappear in the several years. And back to the second problem, question, the sustainable development and the cryosphere. This is the data from the China glacier, first the glacier inventory from, it took a lot of time, from 1978 to 2002. This is the glacier, is frozen ground plus the permafrost and the seasonal frozen ground, and the snow cover with the stable snow cover, which means the snow stay on the land over 60 days. And this is the number of the glacier, the area, and the value of the ice. And the frozen ground also area and the value of the ice and the snow cover. From this map, we can understand the very important is the fresh water, or we say the solid water tower in the plateau. It's very important for the local people. And that's why I say, I think the cryosphere play a key role globally and regional. For example, albedo and energy, everybody know that, and they control the sea level and the ocean circulation. And also, particularly for the permafrost, there are carbon cycle, and also they are store a lot of climate and environmental information we call a CAF, and which also can make the disaster. Water resources, I give you a little bit more description and something concerning the geographic politics and so on. And this one, you can see the disaster. This is the Tibetan Plateau or the High Asia or west part of China, the cryosphere. Here's the picture and the flooding, and this is the agriculture, and here is the glove, is the broken of the glacier legs to make the disaster. And the glacier debris, it is frequently happened in the southeast of China, make a lot of life loss and make all sorts of troubles. And in infrastructure, this is the Tibetan railway. So if the permafrost have changed, there will be damage among many things. And also this is frozen rains happened in 2008 in the southern China. And so I said the melting water as the water tower for Asia people. This is the central area in the High Asia cryosphere, cover the permafrost, the snow cover, and the glaciers. And this is the most directly impacts area, and plus the potential impacts impacted area. And in this area, contain about 45 of population in the world. And there are 8 major rivers will get into the Arctic Ocean, Indian Ocean, and the Pacific Ocean. And this area is a very important arid and semi-arid area for agriculture. So I'll give you an example. This is the place about, it's big, this map is too big. And in the northwest of China, not so far away from my city, this is the Minqing Oasis. And this is the Batanjiling Desert. This is the Tengli Desert. These two deserts want to meet each other by the climate change. And keep the oasis alive, mainly from the Chilean mountain by glaciers. Because the cryosphere retreat, this glacier, smaller and smaller, cannot get enough water. So it's damaged the people's life. Let's landscape like this. Cryosphere, glacier, snow cover, permafrost, alluvium, and oasis and the desert. In this area, oasis probably can make life. In this area, if there's no cryosphere will be no oasis, only desert. This is the story, it's a true story, and the picture published by Xinhua Agency. They said the people's village, Fucheng Go village, only for 4 families. That's 10 people plus 1 donkey. This is a very old village, no people. They are climate refugee. And this is the people stay here. It is, you cannot see this is moon or sun. Moon equals sun, sun equals moon by the blizzard. And this is the old village. And very hard work to get the food. This is the ranking cropland. This is a very heavy stone roll to make the for agriculture. And the water salinity is very high. Even cannot wash, cannot drink, even cannot do agriculture. So last one, I think, what will you do for the cryosphere study in China? Very simple. Just we're talking about the future Earth and IGBP, a lot of things linking with the cryosphere. I do not say any more words for that, but for the cryosphere study in China, we started from 1958. Then we focused on the ice core study, and we continue to do this work, but we pay more attention about the processes to understand the recalls in the ice core, and also the water resources and many things. In 2007, we established the state-of-the-art laboratory of the cryosphere sciences. Now my colleagues sit down here and joined with me to join the occasion. And this is the relationship for the atmosphere, and this is the cryosphere. We focus monitoring process, changes, mechanism, and so many research works. And we do the research work conjunction, cross the atmosphere, hydrosphere, and the land surface, and the ecological and adaptation, and try to develop the cryosphere science trees. We see this part we call the basic sciences. We try to understand dynamics, mechanism, and the background, and the frozen ground components, and try to find what the impacts from these elements, and also try to study the sustainable development, sustainability, and the adaptations. And last 2 minutes, just to give you a very small story for my history. We made the very strange to cross Antarctica for the data. And this is the 6 people from 6 countries to cross Antarctica. It is a very hard life, but very exciting and very happy. Even in the blizzard and for lunch. And after blizzard, the dog. And the crevasses is very dangerous. And we save the dog. Dog also help us. This is the sunshine. And also sunshine. This is the 80-degree south in the Patrick Hills. Yeah, so very, very, very good. And we are on the South Pole. And we visited the Vostok station. I think I'm only one Chinese be here until now. And very hard job, but excellent results from science. We make the 400,000 years from here, from this tower. And the professor and the Dr. Libenkov's living room and the restaurant and workshop. And we make the position by the sextant. And sometimes the Argos not so good. And this is the snow pits every day to collect the samples by glaciers, that's me. And keep clean and back to the laboratory to analysis a lot of things, chemistry and oxygen. And we are tough glaciologists from Russian. Every day he have shower, snow shower. It's 40 minus 48. We finished this one in many years ago, and we have a lot of celebration, exciting. It's the President Bush, old Bush, and president in France and in China. And I must say, this is my mother. If in life, she should be 102 years old. And we got the Nobel Peace Prize by the IPCC. And see here, we share with Mr. Gore. Unfortunately, we have picture. We have no picture. So the press people said, "Oh, Gore got the Nobel Peace Prize." That's wrong. It's the IPCC and Gore, not the Gore himself or Gore plus IPCC. And fortunately, in that, in the occasion of the Nobel Peace Prize, I met my colleague Will Steger. He is the team leader of the Trans-Antarctic expedition 23 years ago, and his house, homestead, and I make the presentation talking about the IPCC, and she's common Chinese. That's myself. That's the American scientist. She had the time to work in Tsinghua University. She reported the Chinese activities for climate research much better than me. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Qin. And actually, be contradicting myself because Dr. Qin has to leave a bit early today and to catch a flight back home to China after this intense week in Stockholm. So actually, we will open up for some questions now for Dr. Qin, and then the rest of the questions can take. And I will be so bold as to start before you get a chance. And we have seen, you have showed us now some of the impacts of the melting ice sheets and the cryosphere. And as you mentioned, well, you elaborated on the water resources.
Yes.
And I know yesterday you also talked, you said that one of the most important impacts was on the albedo effect. So I wonder, how does, in your country, the Chinese decision makers, how do they react to these problems? I mean, there's a huge impact for the water.
Yeah, so because the global warming is globally, and you cannot say, I look after our permafrost or glaciers. If we want to keep the cryosphere life in China, you have to do some activity to reduce the emission. That's the basic important things. Yeah. So for China, yesterday I mentioned from my paper, I said in years 2008, the Premier Ministry of Mr. Wen Jiabao mentioned the Chinese government want to reduce the CO2 emission 40 to 45% at 2020, based on the 2005. I think it's already do some things. Yeah. That's the concept for our cryosphere.
And if by some miracle, I'm afraid to say, that the temperature rise will stop here and now.
No, I don't think
but if it does, if it could, what would happen? Would the cryosphere stop melting? Would the impact stop?
Even we stop the emission, our emission zero, I assume, but the cryosphere still keep warming for a while.
For a while.
Yeah. For example, if we need time. So, but that's the best way. I think we reduce the emission to keep the cryosphere for as long as possible.
Right. So I'm sure there's people in the audience who have questions too. And when you have, please introduce yourself. It's always nice to know who's posing the question. We have microphones here. Yes, there's a lady here.
Yes, my name is Christina Karlmark. I'm working for the Swedish telephone company, but I'm also on the board of the Natural Step. And you showed on one of the pictures that you are the water tower for a very large region in Asia. So my question for you is, how do you cooperate, China, with all these others? Because it's a joint quest. Do you cooperate around the water issues when you are on top of the water tower with India and Pakistan and the rest?
Yes, we have a quite big program, make the cooperation with our neighbor countries, Russia, Pakistan, Nepal, and India, and Mongolia, Kazakhstan, I remember here some of my colleagues, they already have their own cooperation with these countries. So, but most of the cooperation focused on the cryosphere. And when I'm talking about the ancient water tower, that means the solid water tower to supply around this area. Yeah, we did. We have a lot of, yeah.
Anyone else? So maybe I can continue asking you then. And you say, well, obviously here we're discussing the challenges for societal development and human well-being. And what do you see in your work, when obviously you have a lot of data, what's going on, but when you focus on your research in the future now, what would be the major things for you to find out?
Data?
Yeah, well, in your research, what will you look at more in the future? What will you focus on?
So I think for the future, for the cryosphere study in my country, probably many countries, we interest in the cryosphere science tree from basic to apply into adaptation. So for me, I think the most important is adaptation, because very useful for our people and for the country, position makers.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.